What's up, friends? I'm Dave from Chase the Summit, and today we're going to talk about Garmin's brand new update that comes to a whole bunch of different watches, including some, but not all, of the watches I'm holding here. But on top of this big firmware update, they've also announced a new feature in Garmin Connect, the app on your phone or on your desktop computer, called Garmin Trail. And this is super interesting and pretty useful if you're someone like a hiker or trail runner, though Garmin Trail does have a bit of a catch, and we'll talk about that later in this video. Before we get to Garmin Trail, let's talk about some of the new features coming to these watches. And the first one I want to mention is called breathing variations. And this is actually a new sleep metric that uses the SpO2 or pulse ox or blood oxygen sensor on your watch to detect shifts in your breathing patterns throughout the night while you sleep. Now, for this feature to work, you do have to enable SpO2 or pulse ox on your watch. It will not work unless you have that feature turned on. And if you are a current Garmin user and it is supported on your watch, you'll actually get a little blurb in the app on your phone explaining what it does and how to turn it on. To access this new metric, it'll actually be buried underneath your sleep tab. So here I've got my sleep from my previous night. You can see I've got my sleep score at the top here, but if I scroll down into some of the metrics down below, you can see I've got restless moments, I've got my resting heart rate, my body battery recharge, SpO2, etc. And you'll notice that I did not have my SpO2 or pulse ox turned on. So all these metrics are blank, including that new sleep variations metric. So unfortunately, I can't tell you too much about this as mine's blank currently, but I did enable pulse ox on my watch, so I guess I'll use it for a while and see how it works out. I am curious to see if this will detect things like sleep apnea, for example, but again, I don't really know until I get to use it. On to the next new feature, the Rucking Activity, and this one is probably going to be exciting for some of you out there. If you remember back when the Garmin Tactix 8 here was launched, they announced a new activity profile for rucking. If you don't know what rucking is, it's essentially just hiking or walking with a weighted vest. And for a while there, the rucking activity was exclusive to the Tactix 8. Now the good news is they've expanded that to a lot of different watches. So as you can see here, I've got the new Garmin Forerunner 970, and if I dive into my activities here, I can scroll all the way down to more because I'm not a casual rucker. If I click on outdoor and scroll down, you're going to find the rucking activity. Now, if I launch that, you're going to notice it's going to ask me to record my pack weight. So if I click on the check mark there, it'll ask me to input how many pounds my pack weighs. Now, by doing this, this will save to my activity in Garmin Connect. So if I want to later look up how much weight I was carrying on a given day, I can do that in Garmin Connect, which is kind of cool. With rucking out of the way, let's talk about the next new feature, which is kind of like rucking, but a bit different. This one is called pack weight, and it's basically the same as the rucking activity that allows you to input your weight of your pack for a given activity. However, pack weight can be used in a lot of other activities, including hiking, running, trail run, or walking. So as you can see here, I've got a run activity loaded up on the Forerunner 970. And if I scroll down into run settings and then scroll down further into the settings here, it's kind of buried in the settings, but you'll see it. We've got pack weight. So if I click on that, I can now turn pack weight on, and then I can edit the weight of my pack. Now this pack weight feature is actually surprisingly useful. For example, if you're a hiker or trail runner and you typically carry a certain amount of weight, that's going to impact your overall performance. And that's really something that affects trail runners. So if I go out on a 20-mile trail run and I'm carrying 10 to 15 pounds of gear in my hydration vest, that's going to negatively impact my performance because I'm carrying more weight, my heart's going to work harder, my heart rate's going to be higher, and from my watch's perspective, it's basically going to think I'm out of shape because my heart rate will be through the roof even though I'm doing something that's typically easy for me. So what that will do is by entering a pack weight, your watch will actually compensate your estimated VO2 max based on that data. So it's not negatively affecting your VO2 max every time you wear your hydration vest. Again, this is a brand new feature. I have not tried it out, but it is interesting and I plan to try it out with my hydration vest in the very near future. The next new feature coming to a bunch of these watches is called Passcode, and you're probably familiar with this if you've ever owned an Apple Watch. Essentially, what Passcode does is allows you to enter a security code on your watch so that if you take your watch off, it will prevent other people from seeing all of your data. I've already enabled this on my Garmin Forerunner 970 here, so if I remove this watch and take it off my wrist for a second, first, we can check out my sweet watch tan there. But the other thing you'll notice is that on the watch itself, all of my data here on my watch face, like my VO2 max and my body battery and everything, is now blank. And that's because it's hidden behind that passcode. I also can't do anything. If I click any button, it's simply going to ask me for my passcode. And once I put that in, a really classic 1, 2, 3, 4, it will unlock the watch and I can use it as usual. Now, every time you take your watch off, it will lock itself, and every time you put it back on, it will unlock. So you don't have to put that code in every time you want to access it. So that's really the brunt of the updates coming to these watches. There's also a couple of more nuanced ones like Stage Timer, which is a competitive marksman tool that'll allow you to hear alerts in your protective hearing while you're shooting. I don't do that, so I can't really talk about it. And then there's also one that's really specific to the Garmin Venue 3 here called Golf Membership that'll allow you to access all of the advanced golf features like from the Approach series on your Venue 3 at a premium price. You'll have to pay $99 a year or $10 a month to access golf on your Venue 3. And it just enables you to get that feature if you want it for a paid subscription. That golf subscription is kind of interesting to me because if you do opt to upgrade to something like a Fenix 8 or even the Forerunner 970 here, you get those advanced golf options for free in the price of your watch, where on the Venue 3 here, they're adding it as a subscription. And I suspect they're going to do that more and more as time goes on for very specific watches where people may not go golfing with it too often and they just want to turn it on here and there. At this point in the video, you're probably wondering, will my watch get all of these features? Well, it gets a little bit confusing, and to make it less confusing, I do have a chart I can show you with all the supported models and what features are going to which models. You'll notice just about every watch listed here is getting the new breathing variation sleep metric, including older watches like the Fenix 7 or Epix Pro, but you'll also notice that those older watches are not getting other metrics like the Rucking Activity or pack weight or even the simple passcode feature, which is kind of odd. I feel like they should just roll that out to all supported models. But it is what it is. I don't work for Garmin. These are the decisions they've made, and this is what your watch will get in the near future. Okay, so that's firmware. That's what's coming to the watches in the near future, but there's still more to this video because Garmin also announced a new feature coming to Garmin Connect on your phone or computer called Garmin Trails. It's a database of trails built right into Garmin Connect based on user data that they've collected throughout the years. You can access Garmin Trails from the Garmin Connect app on your phone, but I'm gonna demo this on my desktop or my laptop here just to show you how it works. So as you can see here, I'm logged into Garmin Connect, and if I go over to the left here of the screen, I can go to Training and Planning, and if I scroll down, you're gonna see a new feature for Garmin Trails. Clicking on that brings up Garmin Trails. It's identified my particular location here in Massachusetts. And as you can see, it's showing me sort of a heat map of all the trails available in my area. And I'm actually surprised by just how many trails they've captured here. Since this is a brand new feature, I thought it would only capture some or a little bit in my area, but they've actually captured pretty much everything in the area I live in. Now, there's a couple of cool features about Garmin Trails. If I go into filters here, you can see I can actually filter trails based on distance, total ascent, user rating, difficulty from easy to hard, trail type from loop to out and back to point, and even trail features like dog-friendly, waterfalls, lakes, rivers, oceans, mountaineering, steep sections, kid-friendly, permit required, and more. You can also simply search for a given trail in your area by using the search bar up here, or you can sort them by highest rated to most reviews. So if I scroll down, you'll see a big list of all of the trails in my area. And if I hover over any one, you'll see that that particular trail becomes highlighted in the map view on the right side of the screen. Now, if I click on any of those trails, you can see here, this is the Skyline Outer Reservoir Loop. And this is actually a trail I do all the time, so it's kind of cool to see it here. And you can see I've got all of my stats here. I can get driving directions to the actual trailhead, which is kind of cool. It's got a rating at the top there, which is not rated yet because this is a new feature. You can see that it's a moderate trail. It should take between 3.5 to 5.5 hours. That seems a little bit excessive. I usually run it in around 2 hours, but I guess if you're hiking at a slower pace, that would make sense. Then I've got my distance, total ascent, total descent. I've got a little AI created blurb about the trail. I can tell it's AI because every single trail has the same blurb, But if I click on these three dots in the bottom corner here, you can see I can suggest a trail description update. So I'm guessing these AI blurbs about the trail are actually just a placeholder until they can get a better description and implement that. But above the description, there's also some features about this trail. Dog friendly, it's got lakes, rivers, and reaches peaks, which there's not really a peak here, but we'll say it's okay. Down below that, we have an elevation chart for the elevation gain of the trail. And then we've got popular months, which is kind of cool. So it shows you when this trail is most active. Obviously here in Massachusetts, not in February, but very busy in May and June. Scrolling down to the bottom here, you can see I can also input a review from 1 to 5 stars. But if I click on add a review, I get even more options for a review. I can type in a little manual description about my experience there. I can rate it from 1 to 5 stars, tell it what I thought the difficulty was, the conditions during that day, whether it was wet or there were bugs, etc., and all of the trail features. And I can even add photos from my trip to share with other people interested in this trail. And of course, if I like the idea of this trail and I want to do it for myself, I can simply click on send to device, select the device I want to send it to, and then I'm off and running. I can take my watch, go to the trailhead, use the navigation to get there, and then go out on a trail runner hike and follow that given trail. Alternatively, if I love the idea of the trail, but I want to modify it a bit to make it put my own spin on it, I can click the three dots in the corner here and I can click customize trail, and that will actually pull it into my courses library here where I can do whatever I want to. And I can change the points, I can add waypoints, I can do whatever I want. I could add goal times or virtual pacers, whatever, and then sync it over to my watch. So that is the Garmin Trails experience. And honestly, it's pretty cool. It's probably just as useful as something like the Strava course library if you're looking for a trail run or hike. Now, let's get to the point of the video that's in the title. There's a bit of a catch here. So the Garmin Trails feature is not a free feature. This is a feature that's going to be buried under the Garmin Connect Plus umbrella. And I know how a lot of you feel about Garmin Connect Plus, but this is one more feature to go behind the paywall. If you're unaware of what Garmin Connect Plus is, it's a monthly subscription or yearly subscription that gains access to certain features. I've got a whole video about that. Go check it out if you're interested. However, what's interesting about the new Garmin Trails feature is that you can also access Garmin Trails if you're an active Maps Plus subscriber, which is not Garmin Connect. It's a totally different thing that allows you to download additional maps to your watch. With that being said, the subscription required here isn't that surprising. If we look around at the landscape of other companies out there, we could look at Strava, for example. And to use Strava's course builder or their search function, you do need an active Strava premium subscription, which does cost a similar amount to Garmin Connect Plus. But the question is, what subscription do you go with? Strava Premium, which gets you some social features and some of their fitness tools and things, and the course builder, or Garmin Connect Plus, which is very specific to Garmin features, plus Garmin Trails. But that's really it for this video. Just a quick explainer on what went on today with all of the new firmware updates and Garmin Trails. And now's the point of the video where I want to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you think about these new features? Is your watch supported by all of these new features? Did you only get some? Are you interested in Garmin Trails? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear from you. Let's open up the discussion down there. And then after you comment down there, also make sure to go down, give me that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos from me in the future. And as always, check out the description down below where you'll find all of my other social media profiles, my Strava, my Threads, my Instagram, and my website where you can buy some sweet Chase the Summit merch, along with some links over to trackbetter.com where you can pick up your next Garmin watch. All right, friends, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful, and I will see you next time. Bye.